At this time in I'm talking about the 80s now, life was very busy and we moved back to England, setting up new labs and various other stresses. And I developed breast cancer and had a full mastectomy in 1981 and didn't feel right for a long time afterwards, but particularly didn't sleep very well. Couldn't get to sleep in the evenings. And I thought, well, we know a bit about melatonin from the early work, that it has some possible anti-cancer effects. And we also know that it can help sleep. The first review of melatonin effect on sleep was in 1974. I'll try some melatonin, see if it makes me feel better. And it did. So as a result of that, I did a trial on a suitable number of volunteers, placebo-controlled, randomised, double-blind, with my colleague Dr. John Wright, clinician, to see if it really had phase-shifting effects on people. And it did. At which point it has potential therapeutic value in illnesses, diseases, which are due to underlying disturbed circadian rhythms. And there are a rather large number of people suffer from such things. Circadian desynchrony and shift work is one. It's very hard to treat though. Jet lag is the most obvious one that most people know about. Your clock can't keep up with the rapid transition across several time zones. Delayed sleep phase syndrome, another one. And probably the most important one for us, complete blindness. When, if you don't have the light time cue at all, then your body can't stay on the 24-hour cycle easily. So there was the therapeutic potential for circadian rhythm disturbance. The first thing we did was a little Jetlag study because it was good fun. And with the help of our head of department at the time, Professor Vincent Marks, he managed to advertise the fact that we wanted sponsorship for a Jetlag study in the Financial Times, I believe. And we got free flights from British Caledonian Airways. We got some free hotels, including the Mark Hopkins Intercontinental, which is a rather posh hotel, which is where we were intending to send our volunteers, and did indeed send our volunteers. It's a good destination to do a jet lag study because you get very definite jet lag, if you're going to get it at all, after flying 8 time zones eastwards. I don't think our volunteers could afford to eat there, but they could certainly sleep there. And no shortage of volunteers. We had enough money to do, I think it was 17 people. And the help of cutting edge stuff in the field, because our friend and colleague Alex Borbeli in Zurich lent us ActiWatchers, Actigraphs, which you put on your wrist and they can be geared to tell you how well you've slept when you're awake and when you're asleep. So you could judge people's sleep. And we collected a lot of baseline data on sleep and on circadian phase, and this time using the melatonin metabolite, which can be done remotely. So our volunteers were walking around carrying bags of pee and little tubes and measuring cylinders to measure the pee and put a little bit in a tube and then wash the bottle out. And they were apparently had a very good time, so they told me. My mother and my husband were both volunteers. Perhaps shouldn't have been, but they enjoyed it. And it was successful in significantly hastening the rate of adaptation back to UK time, because we made them stay in San Francisco for 2 weeks so they would be adapted to San Francisco time, and jet lag's always worse, nearly always worse, going east. So he did the jet lag study on the eastward leg and studied them in Guildford, in fact, when they got back, which was very convenient. And when it was published in the BMJ, and it caused an absolute furore of people who didn't believe it, and others who wanted to try it, and others who wanted to develop it, and so on and so forth. And since then there have been quite a few other jet lag studies, and there's a Cochrane database review, meta-analysis, which says that yes, it does work. You have to have the timing right though, and we got the timing pretty much spot on, as it's all based on the circadian state of the people that you're treating. And I could predict with reasonable accuracy how to time it. When you can't predict, it's very hard to use.